Hello, everyone. My name is Zion Thomas. I am currently a graduate 2020 at Charles Drew High School in Jonesboro. I am a biological and engineering dual major at Morehouse. I will plan to go to Georgia Tech after I'm done with my 3-2 program, and I will get my bachelor's in both fields. So this is my STEP Mars rover 2020. So my first days at STEP, my initial build, it was kind of tricky, but it was very engaging building a functional robot because I had previously no knowledge on robotics, and I had to just think what would a average engineer go through or their thought process. And this project was, although it was small scale, it allowed me to get some insight as to what those engineers had to overcome and accomplish. This project also showed me how the coding actually worked without allowing me to actually know how to code, because I'm pretty sure that would be complicated. But I used that coding tool to achieve physical results with my robot. So it was a new experience, is what I'm trying to say. So this is what my first robot would look like, and it's right there in the picture or the video. And what I learned is, as I said before, it was very difficult for me to build something that I didn't know what I was building. So I had to follow instructions very carefully, and I had to work at my own pace. And basically, I had to make sure that I didn't leave any exposed wires open. I didn't short anything out, because I did short out one board. One of the boards I ended up shorting out, so I had to get a new one. Luckily, I had 3 of them. But yes, I had to be very careful not to short any other wires out or something like that, because it would lead to material damage. And what I took from the first few days and the first build of my prototype right here is I had to appreciate the experience right now, because during these difficult times, not many students got a chance to participate. There were only 9 of us, and I was one of the lucky few to be chosen. So I knew I would use this knowledge that I learned now to eventually prepare myself into the engineering career and field a few years from now. Okay, so I'm going to talk about some of the modifications that I went through and some of the ones that I achieved. And so I broke it down into 3 stages. My first stage was simply just to reconfigure the wheels and the gearing and make the wheels a little bit more like friction resistant. And so although I did sacrifice movement from like side to side, but I just wanted to achieve the basic forward, reverse, and left and right turning. So I changed out the wheels, and I added a solar panel that although I wasn't able to hook up, I did mount it and bolt it down onto the frame of the rover. And I ended up changing how the battery was connected with all those loose wires hanging around, and I got rid of the zip ties, essentially. This would overall improve like efficiency. Okay, so this is this slide talks about some of the last few days, the end of the second week and the beginning of the third week that we did STEP. And when I was trying to figure out how to make the rover faster, make it more grip resistant and things like that, I wanted to make it to where I knew how on Mars the soil is very dry, is very, very inhospitable, if you will. But I wanted to make it to where the wheels can go over rocks, loose gravel, anything of that nature. So I asked one of the camp participants, Parth, to show me how to re-gear the wheels, and we took out a gear, as you can see. We took out the gear, and it ended up making the gear faster, so it wouldn't slow down. And this is my first stage of the first stage, basically. And I wasn't able to get 6 wheels in a set. So I had to go to Hobby Shop and then I went to Hobby Shop and I got 2 wheels. And then I ordered another 4 set wheels off online. And by chance, they came around the same day, and I was able to get those wheels bolted down and put on the rover. So that's in the second video. It shows how this the first two wheels were put on, and then they started moving. So that was pretty good that I got that problem out the way. My reflections. Looking back over the past 3 weeks, I could honestly not believe that I would build a rover with Mars-themed modifications. Then again, the projects of the aerospace industry seemed fantasies away. I couldn't have begun to describe the necessary steps taken when talking about robotics in the aerospace field, and engineering, of course, would be something later down the line. Not only do I appreciate being chosen, but I appreciate being awoken. And I'm going to talk about why I chose some of the modifications next. I chose the ones I did for 3 reasons: topography, energy, and efficiency. So I said earlier how the wheels were chosen because they weren't basically ideal for me. I wanted to I wanted to get the rover to go over like harsh environments, and I wanted the rover to ideally be able to go into dunes, divots, different crevices, craters maybe. And I wanted the rover in the second stage to receive solar energy, so that's why I added the solar panel. And then lastly, I wanted the rover to have efficiency, so I didn't want the wires to be caught on some random rock or some unknown object would just totally destroy the mission. And so I wanted to make the wires at least smaller and surface mass, and I just wanted the battery not to just hang around and potentially be destroyed. Okay, so this would be the conclusion of my presentation. I want to thank Dr. Grindling for teaching me everything there is to know about the Mars rover and STEP program. I want to thank the aerospace design, and I want to thank the Georgia grant. I want to thank Lockheed Martin and Dr. Harrison, and I want to thank my mentor, Dunson, who told me everything I need to know late hours if I had any questions about coding or any questions about just remodeling in general. Any questions?
Let's see. First, Chris does want to know what drove your selection for the tire?
Okay, so part of the largest theme of tire selection was availability, size, basically diameter and radius and everything, and then the hex size. So the hexes that I were using to attach the tires to the motors were 12 millimeters. So I had to figure out, okay, so when can I get some of the tires that I wanted? After I chose them, I had to ship them to my house really early, and then I had to make sure that they all fit at the same time, because in the one of the videos I had one of the tires weren't moving faster, or it was moving too fast for the other tires to keep up. So I had to figure out which tires were the best for them to work in unison, not just counterproductive to each other. So it's just timing and availability.
Well, and then Jennifer wants to know what do you plan to do with the solar panels? What are your thoughts there?
So my initial plan, or the plan that I'm currently in the phase of executing, I am getting a 3-phase switch, and this 3-phase switch will switch power between the solar panel. So when it's not on, of course, the battery will be charged by the solar panel when it is out in the sun, potentially on Mars. And then when I switch to the 3rd phase, I will turn on the rover, and then it will go from there.